It was supposed to be our fresh start. After years of dodging suffocating HOA rules in our old neighborhood, my wife, Sarah, and I chose a cozy 2-story house in Willow Creek, a quiet suburb just outside Raleigh, North Carolina, in the summer of 2024. I'm Daniel, a 40-year-old electrician, and Sarah's a pediatric nurse at the local hospital. We picked this place because it sat just beyond the Willow Creek Homeowners Association's React No Fees. No nosy board members. Just freedom. Or so we thought. I've spent my career wiring homes, fixing what's broken. But nothing could have prepared me for the nightmare that unfolded when we met our neighbor, Linda. We'd barely unpacked the moving truck when Linda appeared at our doorstep, all smiles and suburban polish. She wore a crisp yoga outfit, her auburn hair perfectly styled, and carried a tray of warm oatmeal raisin cookies that smelled like a bakery. "Welcome to Willow Creek," she said, her voice dripping with charm. "I'm Linda, president of the HOA. We take care of everyone here." Her emphasis on everyone should have tipped me off, but I was too exhausted from the move to catch it. I made the mistake that set everything in motion. Actually, our house isn't part of the HOA. That's why we bought it. Her smile froze, just for a second, and I swear I saw a flicker of fury in her eyes before the warmth snapped back. "That can't be right," she said, her tone sharp, like I'd just rewritten the laws of physics. "Every home in Willow Creek follows our standards. Every single one." What followed was a 45-minute interrogation disguised as small talk. Linda grilled me her deed, our finances, our schedules, even whether we planned to have kids. It wasn't neighborly curiosity. It was a data sweep, precise and relentless. She spoke of community harmony and property values like a zealot preaching salvation, her eyes gleaming with an unsettling intensity. "Your house being separate disrupts our vision," she said, her voice almost reverent. Then came the kicker: "You're part of us now. We protect our own." It sounded like a vow, but it felt like a threat. As she wandered our porch, commenting on our landscaping, I later realized she was casing the place, adjusting our door handle, eyeing our windows, lingering by the electrical box. I thought she was just overly thorough. I was wrong. That night, I found a property survey in our mailbox, one we hadn't ordered. It claimed our house sat just inside the HOA's boundaries, contradicting our legal documents. The paperwork looked official: stamps, signatures, the works. But something was off. Who could alter county records? And why? By morning, I noticed faint scratches around our deadbolts, deliberate and fresh, like someone had been practicing with a lockpick. The unease settled in my gut like a stone. The next week was a crash course in psychological warfare. Linda's visits grew invasive. She'd show up when I left for work or when Sarah came home from a late shift, demanding we join the HOA or comply with community standards that didn't apply to us. "Daniel, you're making this harder than it needs to be," she'd say, standing too close, her voice laced with condescension. She'd drop hints about unfortunate families who faced permit delays, code violations, or police calls for disturbances after resisting the HOA. The threats were veiled but clear. Meanwhile, our neighbor Greg, a retired city planner with a firm handshake and a salesman's grin, cornered me one morning with charts showing how HOA homes gained 20% more value than ours. He offered to connect me with a mortgage broker who could refinance us at exclusive rates. It felt scripted, like he'd been coached. My security cameras later caught him photographing our mail and deed through our window at night, using a professional-grade lens. How does a neighbor get a key to your mailbox? And why? Fake citations started arriving long too long. Mailbox misplaced. Fence blocking a non-existent easement. Each came with official-looking city letterhead and fine schedules. I called the city, and the clerk's response chilled me. These were filed by someone with system access. They're fake, but use valid codes. This is a serious breach. Linda wasn't just a pushy neighbor. She had connections, deep ones. The stress began wearing Sarah down. She started questioning our move. Her voice sharp in ways that weren't like her. I installed more cameras, which caught Greg rifling through our mail again. I set a trop a fake letter with a made-up account number. Sure enough, a broker I'd never met called about it the next day. They were watching everything. Desperate, I hired a lawyer, Emily Harris, who specialized in HOA disputes. She seemed perfect, confident, experienced, promising to slap Linda with a cease and desist order. We handed over bank statements, mortgage details, even our schedules to build a case. A week later, Emily called with good news. Our deed was clean. Linda had no authority, and the violations were fraudulent. But then she dropped a bomb. A company, Apex Realty, was pushing for a service road through our block, tied to Linda's allies through shell companies. Our house wasn't just a home. It was a puzzle piece in a multi-million-dollar land grab. Emily urged us to target Apex, not Linda, framing it as a bigger fight. It made sense until I drove by Apex's office and saw Emily and Linda at a conference table, laughing over our financial documents. Our lawyer was their spy. The betrayal hit hard. But the real terror came when I overheard Emily mention a Sarah elimination plan. My heart stopped. This wasn't about our house, Anna Maria, it was about our lives. I started noticing changes in Sarah. She was irritable, forgetful, even doubting my concerns about Linda. Maybe you're overreacting, she'd say, her eyes distant. I blamed hospital stress until my cameras caught Linda slipping drops into Sarah's coffee during a friendly visit. A lab confirmed sedatives in the cup, drugs causing memory lapses and suggestibility. Linda had been poisoning my wife for weeks, using her network of doctors and counselors to push medications and narratives that painted me as paranoid. Sarah's private notes on her phone missed chart entries. A strange aftertaste in her coffee confirmed the horror. She'd been losing herself, manipulated into questioning me. I hired a private investigator who uncovered Linda's playbook. She targeted inherited properties, scouring obituaries to find grieving families. Over a decade, she'd forced 15 families to sell at a loss, netting her network $3 million in flipped properties. Her team included corrupt officials, a therapist gaslighting clients, even a doctor prescribing drugs to amplify her schemes. When I stopped Linda's access to our food and drinks, Sarah's clarity returned. She was furious, staring at the footage of her poisoned coffee. She stole weeks of my life, she whispered, tears falling. A former victim, Michael Chun, contacted me after seeing our case in legal filings. His family had endured the same nightmare: fake violations, drugged relatives, a forced sale. He connected me with 5 other families, and we built a case, bolstered by Greg's defection. He handed over recordings of Linda planning druggings and brake-line sabotage to create grieving sellers. The threats escalated: dead rats on our lawn, spelling final notice. Sarah's car tampered with to fail on her commute. We had no choice but to act. I set up a community meeting to discuss boundary disputes, knowing Linda's ego would draw her in. She walked into a trap, cameras rolling, state police present, and victims ready to testify. Greg opened with damning recordings, Linda laughing about drugging Sarah, plotting accidents. Michael detailed his family's ruin. 12 families showed identical patterns: fraud, harassment, Theft. The room turned on Linda as neighbors realized they'd been pawns in her empire. Her polished facade crumbled. "Get out now?" she screamed, pointing at me, her voice raw with rage. "Your house outside my control ruined everything." She collapsed, shrieking, as police cuffed her. Her breakdown broadcast live. The fallout was swift. Linda faced charges of fraud, conspiracy, and attempted murder. Her network doctors, inspectors, clerks scattered, facing their own prosecutions. We got restitution, and Willow Creek began healing, free from her grip. Property values rose without her manipulation. But the scars linger. Sarah and I learned trust is fragile, and real community comes from respect, not control. What would you do if someone poisoned your loved one to steal your home? How far would you go to expose a predator hiding in plain sight? Share your thoughts below. I am reading every comment. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories of truth cutting through deception.